My name is Bill Elliston. I am 52 years old and I've been racing bikes since 1985, so 37 years. I started racing just kind of locally with a bunch of friends and was fortunate enough to graduate into racing at the most elite levels in the US. I raced as a professional for 6 years, traveled a good part of the world, New Zealand, Australia, a lot of the islands, and was fortunate to make a living as a bike racer. I took a little bit of a backseat from my full-time bike racing in 2009, and at that point I began escalating my coaching business to working with athletes of all levels, from professionals down to beginners and recreational riders, and that's kind of where I've ended up at this point. I still race bikes for fun and as much as I can on the weekends, kind of a weekend warrior is what I would refer to myself as, which is what most recreational riders are. I still try and race at a fairly high level when I can race, but racing's definitely a little bit in the back seat now as I have taken over coaching a lot of athletes, running camps and clinics for USA Cycling. I love the speed, I love the adrenaline, I love the thrill, I love competition. I'm not that guy that's the cutthroat competitor necessarily. I can be when I have to be, but at the same time, one of the beautiful things about bike racing is you can fight tooth and nail with the same guys week in and week out, and one guy might come out on top one day, one guy might come out on top the next day, but a half hour after the race, you're probably sitting on a cooler sharing beers and laughing about what you guys just did. I was contacted by a fellow cyclist in town. They were approached by someone they knew at the city who was interested in trying to put a bike race on in town, and they knew I had promoted some races and been on the logistical backside of race organization for a number of years. So they asked me to step in and help talk about some different styles of races and what would be the best venture to bring riders into Easton that would really highlight the city, what it has to offer, highlight the town, and bring a lot of riders and really keep fans engaged and captivated. So we discussed a couple different opportunities, a couple different course layouts, until we finally settled on the current iteration of what we're going to use this year for the course. We picked Larry Holmes Drive as start finish because it's just a really scenic backdrop with the river and Scott Park there, the statue to Larry, and from there, it'll go to Northampton Street, make a left turn, heading west on Northampton toward the circle. When we get into the circle, we're actually going to go the opposite way of traffic. So we're going to go just a quarter way around and exit out onto South 3rd Street. From there, it'll go about a block, make a left onto Ferry Street, and then a quick right into Sitgrave Street, and that descends back down to Larry Holmes Drive, where you'll make a left onto Larry Holmes Drive and back to the start finish at the far end in front of Scott Park. So about 7/10 of a mile, a little bit of elevation per lap, a lot of corners, and just I think overall it's going to be a pretty technically demanding event for everybody. I love the fact that bike racing is not simply a strongman's contest. It's really a battle of strength, of wits, of savvy, of cunning, of skill, but I think more than anything, what got me into it is what I love the most, and that's the freedom of it. Being able to ride for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours and explore areas that you otherwise might not see, whether it's just outside of your community or going to other areas of your state or the country or even internationally, and just being able to see a lot of different things and at a pace that it can be fast enough that you're making some progress and actually getting somewhere, but it's also slow enough, unlike a car, where you can actually take in the sights a little bit and really kind of see some of the great things that nature and the world has to offer. And I think it's a really great escape to just get out and see different things and step outside the norm of what everybody calls reality at some point. For me, with the opportunity to race in Easton, it's just an opportunity to race in front of my friends and family that so often don't get to see me race, and just a chance to finally validate to folks what I've done with my life, because you get a lot of questions of, what are you doing racing a bike? And so now folks here can finally see it, and they can finally enjoy what a world-class cycling event looks like.